I feel like I've kind of cracked the code. I look like my Instagram photos every day. I'm making the choices in my career and the way I look, and I'm in control of my own life. That's a big deal because, I have all these young women in my life. If it's my son's, girlfriends or fiance or nieces, I just want to make sure that they feel confident in who they are, because it's just good enough. And you realize later on, you're your own worst critic. So if you're not criticizing yourself or others, and it's a nice place to be. You look back at older films, I guess for me, I love to kind of look at those really cinematic moments. If you're living your life kind of cinematically, you're not thinking about being the prettiest girl in the room. You're a character. You're a character in this life. If you're a little garden fairy, or if you're, with fashion, you can express yourself so many ways. With makeup too. I'm not opposed to makeup. I wore a lot of makeup when I was on stage, or when I'm in a film, maybe a little bit, but it's to complement who you are. But I'm having fun with my hair now, and I'd probably do a little bit of makeup for my next role, but we'll experiment with that, because I find like it's hard to find a middle ground. I mean, it's another form of freedom, I guess. I'm not thinking about how I look. I am creating a character, and I'm kind of in transition, and sometimes I catch myself in the mirror and go, oh, geez, who's that? But isn't that so much fun? It's just great. I spent a lot of time in a makeup chair. My kids used to joke with me. I remember my babies kind of sitting around me and like, Mom, when are you gonna be done? I feel like I kind of used that a little bit as protection in my life, and I kind of fed the monster, I guess, in the past, but I don't regret it, because I look back and I think, look how many Halloween costumes I am. That's a compliment. And I don't think that people are just drawn to the superficial qualities of those characters. There's always been a vulnerability and a humanness and a making mistakes and embracing life and trying different things and being in love and being heartbroken and all those things that make you human alongside those characters. So I think that even though people are, putting on the rubber dress and the big hair, big blonde hair, and getting on the back of a motorcycle for Halloween, it's not quite it. There's more to it. There's much more to it. But it's still a compliment to open your door on Halloween and see a little you standing there, like, it's like all the different moments. But I take it as a compliment. But I do feel like there's what attracts people to you, or what draws people to you, is vulnerability. And that's, it's kind of a windy road. And I don't know, I am me, and like I said, this last year has been, sometimes it's surreal, like even sitting here, I'm thinking, has this really happened, or did I dream all of this? Because it is a dream, and that's my philosophy, live life like a dream. People come to me with their daughters and say, thank you so much for doing this, and introducing me to their kids and saying, this has really brought up a conversation that I wouldn't be able to have with my children, where, the social media thing is very hard to talk about, because it's, people are very, obsessed with it, or protective of it, or defensive of it. You just want to feel okay about how you look, and then, have them be playful and do what you want. But you have to remember what you look like and who you are is good enough. And then, you can go from there. Well, I remember being at Paris Fashion Week and thinking, nobody's looking at me. I mean, I'm not trying to compete with the gorgeousness of all these girls and women, but I'm gonna have all these great clothes on, so why? I just said, I'm gonna go to the Louvre. I'm gonna go see some architecture, and nobody's even gonna notice. I have this big hat on, and people noticed. I remember Corinne Rothfeld, she came up to me, she goes, I like what you're doing. And I was like, what am I doing? But sometimes I'll see a picture of me and think, oh no, but then I catch myself and I say, no, that's how I look. That's okay. You know, it might not be the best lighting, might not be this, because, you know, we're just kind of trained, especially in this industry, but now everybody's a celebrity. Everybody has phones and, you know, selfies and the right angles. But what is beauty? I think it's subjective. And I find beauty in interesting faces, older faces. I'm not a judger of people who, you know, want to do whatever they want to do to themselves. They're just their own beings, and everyone's wants to, you know, show the best version of themselves. But this is just kind of where I'm at, and I try and, you know, forgive myself too for worrying so much as a younger person, or following trends. I want to be a trendsetter. I don't want to be a trend follower. I mean, every generation has its own thing. I think in the 90s, everyone wanted to be so different, and I think people are starting to look more alike these days, but I think that has a lot to do with AI and social media and filters and people that women are aspiring to look like or be like. So I just never want to get caught up in that trap. I still have fun, but I don't want to look like anybody else. I want to look like me. Things have kind of been different, you know, since the documentary came out and I was able to do The Last Showgirl. Our show is legendary. I finally got to really dig into something and experiment as an actress. So that was the beginning, and then, you know, I did Naked Gun.
Sassafras Chicken and D. Make it extra lumpy, boys.
Done other films, Rosebush Pruning with Kareem Anuz. I did Place to Be with Cornell Mandursko, where I play Alan Burstyn's daughter. I mean, I've just been working nonstop. And still living in my garden in between movies, and working with my wonderful skincare brand, Sansi. I wrote a vegan cookbook, and I, you know, wrote my memoirs. It's been kind of an unleashing of who I see myself as, even though it's been different in the past. I felt like this is just such a great next chapter for me. I just feel great. I mean, I feel good. I feel like I've been able to experiment, and really peeling back the layers for me was just for me. I didn't realize that people were going to resonate with it, which has been really nice.
I mean, you're looking for dancers. I'm a dancer. I'm an experienced dancer.
When I was able to do The Last Showgirl, I thought, what if this is the only movie I ever get to do? So I was very focused, my head against the wall, very like focused the whole time. I didn't lose focus, and that was my challenge for that one. I think with every film, you heal a different part of yourself. So it was the perfect jumping off point to play The Last Showgirl, but I think it's relatable to many women, especially in this industry or anywhere. I have so many people coming up to me that talk about their mother-daughter story, or talk about being in the entertainment business and how, you know, you have a shelf life as a dancer, male or female. So it kind of ticked a lot of boxes for me, but again, it was just a jumping off point to the relatability. You kind of immerse yourself in a completely other characters. It's fun to be recognized by your peers, because I never really felt a part of those rooms, and I always felt a little insecure meeting other actors, thinking, I know, you know, these are the things that I've done, but I'm capable of so much more. I've always known that I'm capable of more, but I never had the opportunity. And I know a lot of people say that, but I feel like I still have so much more to give. So, you know, you just have to take a deep breath and walk up to people, introduce yourself, and it was nice to hear from a lot of my peers too, who loved the film, but still, I can't wait for these other films to come out, and I've been so fortunate that really incredible directors are wanting to work with me, and other actors. Yeah, it's a whole new world, and I'm embracing it.
What if we had a little dinner together? I sure could go for a bite.
Naked Gun was a lot of work too. I mean, you prepare for a dramatic role the same way you'd prepare for a high comedy, or I do, and so a lot went into that. A lot went into creating the intimacy and the groundedness of that character, and I love that kind of comedy too. I think it's refreshing, and it was fun to be a part of, and Akiva Schaffer is great and hysterical, and they're like mad scientists back there, and it was a big Paramount film, so a lot different than doing indie films. There's a lot more people in the room. And it's about the jokes. But I tried to keep it real. And, you know, and then Liam and I had a lot of fun. It was fun to go to work every day.
You've made me a very happy woman.
A little bit like a Nancy Meyers film. Very romantic and fun, and you can't help but get caught up in the love story. And, you know, I always was laughing when people thought, oh, that's a publicity stunt. I'm like, a publicity stunt? This is real. We have real feelings. And so, yeah, it's just been incredible experience to have that kind of friendship. And, you know, who knows? It's just a lovely experience.
Miss Kopetsky died in the war. I'm Barb Wire.
My sons came to me and said, Mom, we want to do a TV version of Barb Wire. And I was like, what? Really? And, you know, more in a way, more like a dark comedy, more in the way that it was kind of presented to me, actually. So I'm really excited to kind of take that back. And that's funny, I think about movies like Barbarella, even Mr. Freedom, you know, things like that. They do get kind of panned by critics, but they're kind of cult favorites. So in the end, what is a success? It's still around, and people, you know, love that character too. So it was mostly a superficial looking character because it was a cartoon. So I don't think we failed at all. I think we did exactly what we intended to do. But I think with this, it's again a little bit of redemption, and my children and my boys are very protective of me. They're gonna have fun with this. But yeah, they're producing it. I think I could have done more. As an actress, as a performer, you know, I can't believe I did Broadway. You know, I didn't know if I could do all that, and I loved playing Roxy in Chicago on Broadway. I thought, you know, from Baywatch to Broadway, I can live with that. I was making pickles and jams and working on a skincare brand, and I was really happy with that. I'll go back into my garden and make pickles. So I've been able to do everything. Make pickles. People love the pickles, which is great, and Flamingo Estate is a great partner too. You know, I love them. And the other stuff has just been happy surprises. And I have so much energy to work, which, you know, it's when you don't expect it. I really had said, that's it, I'm going home. I'm going home. I love Vancouver Island. I love my little ranch. I'm gonna renovate my little place and live in my garden. Write, maybe, do something. So this is a happy surprise. I handled a lot of, you know, difficult times, but I'm the same person. And you know, in hindsight, obviously, I could say I have some regrets or I would have done things differently, but I needed the life experience to teach me that that would be different. And I think I handled everything okay. And the most important thing to me was my family, and my boys turned out great. So that's the most important part. I'm always in love. I'm always in love. I'm no shortage of that. People around me are very supportive and encouraging, and I live my life very romantically. And I think being engaged in the world is important, but also finding joy and through art and family and friends. I'm fine in all those departments. I'm looking forward to all the work I have ahead of me and really immersing myself in these new characters and enjoying it and getting back into my garden and going to my son's wedding. And I have a lot to look forward to, a lot on my plate. And then I don't know what, there's so much, there's a lot of mystery too. And I think that's another thing that I've discovered, is being okay with mystery. You don't have to know what's gonna happen next. And really all we have control of is right now and where we are, so I'm enjoying it all. Let's just hope this is just the beginning, and I'm ready for action and have this whole new kind of inspiration and love of, you know, this industry and life, and I want to continue to, you know, get people out into the cinema, and I think it's always an important place to celebrate and to go to, especially in, you know, whatever times are happening in the world, is to remember to be joyful. I think it's kind of a rebel move to be happy.